Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9. And of course we're playing as the Great Italian Empire, the Nuovo Romano Imperium. Okay, so we are crushing Turkey right now, and all on our lonesome. Cut out the rest of the German types, which is what we wanted to do. Seems to be that some of the units that may have been gifted over to, well, I don't know, Romania by Germany may have been gifted back to Germany here. Don't know, not paying that close attention. Oh good, we won in Mombasa. Take that port. We've already cut them off from just about everything. All those. I think we've completely cut off these forces with this here. This is not passable. This isn't passable. So they're already doomed. They're not going to get any more supplies. Might take us a while to grind them all down, but we're going to take that. We're going to come in and take Dar es Salaam. And I have our East African Empire very firmly established. Okay, well there must, okay, there is a province or two here that we could still take. Good. Shifted some more air power to be attacking some of these battles that were being hard fought. Away from naval bombardment, that is. Attack over here. What you can do, and I rarely do this, is come and give it a range for ground attacks. That way these guys won't be just attacking one province. I normally like to micromanage it. Well, no, I don't like to micromanage it. I normally just ignore it until it becomes, or until I specifically need it for a particular attack. As, you know, overwhelming power. Wow, he's come up in the world. Look at that. He started out, I'm sure, as a 0 level guy. These sort of long battles in Africa can really grind people up. Okay, this is just where I wanted to get to. I wanted to get to the far side of the river, so I'm attacking the capital without coming across the river. These guys are sort of swinging to the other side. How good or bad is this attack? Oh, fairly good. Let's hit it with some medium bombers as well, though. This ground attack, we don't need to disrupt the ICs any more than necessary. Okay, they can stop. Let's retreating to. Air power. I do have, I don't know what kind of shape it's in. Oh, it's actually in pretty good shape. Okay. You guys can come up here if you can reach. No, can't reach that. That's too far for your light pump. And that is fairly far. Need more air bases, and yes, I could have built some here, but just never did. There we go. I'm not sure what or how I'm going to use these guys. I may attach them to some of the fascist militia type units, or I may use them independently. Those will help with occupying our more occupied as opposed to national territories. Okay, we are sending these guys over. Okay, good. And let's particularly useful for, and well, let's get a guy. Now that's a missing picture as opposed to just a generic picture. Now this is somebody else. I don't remember who he is. You see him around a lot. I mean, can we see him more than once here? And some of these photos to me look like they're army, but I'm not good with Italian. I mean, that looks like Italian Navy to me, but that looks like a fascist. Yeah, I think these are all screwed up personally. I'm not sure, but he looks like a black shirt guy from North Africa in the pith helmet. Maybe there's black shirt Navy, but I don't know of it right offhand. See, here's that same guy again. So there's, compared to the care and love that different people, including myself and Revolver Held, have added leaders to Germany. Now, this is obviously, or maybe not obviously, but I do believe because they've cut him out of the photo, so it probably is him. It's just sort of the best grainy thing they could get down in there to the right size. And that, to me, just looks like a U.S. uniform, but I don't know. The way the ribbons are a bit different. You can see there he is again. So, yeah. Now this looks like it's probably a actual person, but I don't know. I don't know about that, because I think I've seen him, yeah. I don't know. Because, you know, obviously like a naval commander could just have khakis or whatever that's set up in that way. Where do we have our naval HQ? There we go, base at Toronto. We can attach that to Supreme Command in Italy, at least. Getting a little better organized. We could use a little air help as well. Shift over from naval striking to ground attack. It's doing it fairly well, so let's guys are still sort of patrolling, or mostly just sitting. I don't know. But oh, you joining this crossed river attack? You get across across that river to then come up that way. Well, now, a little bit of supply. Let's swing up around that way. Oh good, it is near. I think that's a victory point. Yes. Just one. This is sort of one of the big 5 and 2, so probably after we get Ankara, well, we can take a quick look. Turkey, well, they are 58% on the surrender progress. But we're also going to, what's that? Trabzon. All mountainous in here? Yeah, pretty much. Okay, well. Actually, you know, it's probably better to go this way. No, no. Sure, we're getting across whatever river this is. Ah, part of the Euphrates system. Or the Tigris. It's the Tigris, okay, or something. Yeah, because Euphrates goes down that way. Okay. Thank you, Alexi, again for adding the river names and sea names. Those are really cool. Good, we're still sinking a bunch of stuff out here, I'm glad. How are these guys coming along? Oh, okay, well, fairly well organized. So let's come out here. Oh, cancel. Come out here and convoy raid. Okay, capital ship. Anti-aircraft fire control so we can hit our targets better. Good. And we're still, minuscule a little bit, and what it normally doesn't show up on its list. Yes, you may be hearing, well, maybe not too much in the background, gardeners outside, but hey. I think we're getting, we can get this defensiveness. That'd be good. Use that minuscule amount of leadership. Okay, mountain troops. Come down, take that port. Cross this river. Do that. You guys attack this way. Pursue. 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 You hit there and then come over here if you can. this guy back here. Wow, I forgot all about him. Guess he wasn't needed that badly. I know he was sort of one of the later divisions that was moving up. There we go, that'll help a little bit. Weather just slows the game up, having it displayed, because it has to sort of calculate what to display. I mean, it's calculating the weather itself all the time, so I love that. We can argue how well it does it, both in the sense of the correct weather in correct regions. You know, do you get snows in, in the tropics or something? I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to know. Some of the times, though, I have seen things that didn't seem right. And two, are the effects big enough at times? And obviously, Black Ice doesn't think so, because they have all those winter and mud and other sorts of effects. So, it's great that it's there, but it's maybe could be done better. Well, I could say almost anything, but you know what I mean. And again, I think we have a teeny little bit left. Yeah, 0.3. Morale, combat width, both are useful. We'll go with morale first. Get morale improved. Fuel, so what can we do about that? What can we do? I doubt it's in range, but oh no, it's not there. Oh, it is in range. Wow, cool. Air supply. We have a decision. Oh, recruit African units. Yes, just once each box. This is because we took Mombasa, I believe. Yes, down here we have a bunch of African units. They're representing all the British units. Well, do we come... Well, we come down here. We want to cut off escape/reinforcements. Got these guys coming in to take out the Belgians. Home territory. Okay, again, sort of junky leaders. Let's not waste anybody with any sort of usefulness. Not that our army's going to expand too huge, but might as well. We may save the fascist guy for some other time. Okay, faceless guy. I don't know if we have any Italians watching. I sort of hope we do, but and yes, I've definitely expressed my thoughts that this is a little better unit. Let's get a little better guy. Not much better, but well, we can start off with a 1. That I think Hearts of Iron 3 is a dead-end game, and obviously I'm still playing it, and currently I don't have plans to stop anytime soon playing it. But that being said, I do still believe it's a dying game. I'm really hopeful that the next version of, and I quite honestly haven't had time to play it yet, the next version of Hearts of Iron 4 that's coming out will be a big improvement. We don't need a cold weather dude. Yeah, somebody gets stuck down to one of these units that may never dig them back out. Okay, they all got leaders of some sort. Good. You guys will move super slow if I don't do this. But work done here can be transferred to Hearts of Iron 4. I'm doing it. Now, I'm not suggesting all work are looking easily done, but what I would love to see is, you know, and I know Pavolini, who is my major, and I do mean major contributor to Third Reich events for Italian. It's at least started with a bunch of Italian-German cooperation type events, and Germany operating within Italy, but also other just straight up Italian stuff. Has definitely done more than his fair share, as it were, because he has really sort of helped that along considerably. But it could be quite readily done that if somebody here wants to, and you don't necessarily need modding skills. These guys are just going to support because I'm going to hit south of them eventually. I think all those guys ended up supporting the attack and not attacking. To do it is to contribute. You know, of course, I'm talking about Italy now, but if you were to go in and find well, let's get one that we can click on, generals for your nation, because and unfortunately I've lost touch with the lad Virgil, who was my major, again very major contributor to Third Reich events, not just for Romania. He did a bunch for Romania, but also just a bunch for Germany as well. You know, but there's so little published in English about Romania during the war, and there's very little access to Romanian stuff there, but at least it's mostly a Latin alphabet to you know, it is a Latin alphabet, but it has a bunch of odd symbols that may or may not come through. But then you get to other nations, is that you can come in, if you have want to have your nation represented, is to go to books or whatever you have in your nation. Whether it could, it could be an internet source that's in Slavic, and none of us who don't have a Slavic keyboard, and sure, I can copy and paste Cyrillic alphabet words into Google Translate and get something back out of them, though they're not always consistent in spellings. I've noticed in some things I have 3 or 4 different translations, spellings into Western alphabets. With some of the stuff I've looked up, people's names spelled 3 or 4 different ways when you get them out of the Cyrillic alphabet, and that kind of thing. But whether it's in Italian or Spanish, that if you could come up with a so meaning it could be something that's accessible to us, but it could also be, I don't know, some records or something that if you were to go in and find and get, last names is fine. I like first and last names or other sorts of stuff, but go get what they were called, get a photo, and of course in this modern day world you can often get Well, you could even photograph things with your phone in a book, and then try to make it as flat and straight on as possible. And a lot of people have smartphones nowadays. So even if it's in a library and they don't have a scanner that you can go stick the book on in a scanner somewhere, you can take your cell phone in and try to get exactly straight above that image and take photos, and then come into Photoshop, and there's other things you can get for free to cut and do a capture around the image. Just get the image out and save it as a JPEG file. Easier, and something that we can work with. And so you get a name and a photo, and then if you can come up with these things, and don't, I get patriotism, but don't be overly generous, but some sort of an evaluation of people like Lelio Rodando, sorry Italians, but what was his war record like? Anything remarkable? If not, okay, is it a 1 or is it a 2? That kind of thing, and at least come up with some sort of vague idea of skill levels, realizing to me, for Hearts of Iron 3, the average German general skill level is 3. So not a particularly good German general, just a standard trained up, experienced up German general is skill level 3. That's sort of what my mind helps make the difference between national armies. So if you really think some Hungarian general, and I would say most Hungarian generals weren't better than your average German general, at least that's what experience shows. Doesn't mean they have to suck. It just means that their training, their institutional backgrounds just aren't quite as good as Germany. And seeing as Germany was one of the better nations in the world, that is not necessarily a bad thing to be not quite as good as the standard German general. Like for Hungary or somebody like that. So maybe most of the standard Hungarian generals start out as 1. Very few are 2, and most are 0s. But they can, and if you want to give it like a max number, because most of these have max numbers. But you could do that for your nation, and what their sort of rank would be when, and just sort of, you can put it in a text file. You don't have to make it, mod it into the game or do all the stuff, but just create, because here we have somebody who created this, Ferrari brothers maybe, but they're using the same picture. One has a logistics wizard, but obviously they're not the same. Well, they could be the same person that somehow has, depending on how you do it, 2 different first names. Common, or, I don't know. That does sort of show up in things. Often goes by one name, but is officially something else. So you can show up in one book under one name, and on his official record it's something else. I don't know. But is to better do this. But to me, it really helps immersion is to have a photo with that. Again, that just to me looks like a cut of a U.S. uniform. That, I don't know who the hell that is, but I've seen him there a few other times, I think. Yeah, see here. Now, we don't have, at least not yet, and that looks to me post-war. Maybe that's what I'm seeing up here, is a post-war uniform. A bunch of, just the way I don't know. Sometimes I look at things and I go, that looks like a 1950s photography thing, and that looks like a 1940s photography. And just because, again, we're seeing this guy several times now. And obviously Italy had lots and lots of generals. A lot of them retired. But whether we ever get a divisional generals back for Hearts of Iron 4, I'm still hopeful that will be moddable. I have become convinced that at least the developers have no plans on attempting it themselves, but what I'm sort of kind of thinking is now that they've introduced multi-level, there's only two, command structure, can we somehow go in and mod that to have something like a core command unit that just max one division? You know, something like, not called a core, call it a division command. You know, if you can mod what it's called, then have the core, and then have the, you know, so we might be able to find a way to put a shell over one division that has, or one unit, because obviously it could be a battalion or something, because you can make a one battalion division. But so that maybe all these guys could become useful. So, but if you were to create this for your nation, again, you're Italian, and once you do that, because that is getting these photos, and get the best quality photo you can, and especially if you're talking Hearts of Iron 4, for future use, a color photo or a color portrait or something would be nice, but a black and white one. A nice big quality is good, because whether we end up with this little small thing or something a bit larger like in Hearts of Iron 4, it would, you know, we can always size it down. So this is the biggest thing. I was just talking to one of the Camp Das G, I'll call him that, Hearts of Black Ice devs for Hearts of Iron 3, and he's reworking some of the Italian Order of Battle, starting Order of Battle stuff. But you know, the biggest hurdle with all this stuff is creating, is coming up with the research. That takes more time than doing the text file. That doesn't automatically mean that if you have one general or 40 generals, that they're going to necessarily immediately jump on it and put it in. They may, because it all comes down to time. I, through the TRE, has a bunch of Italian added commanders, again from Pavellini. So I've done my part, and he's, like I say, has done his part in contributing to his nation's remembrances. And I know a few of you, I'm quite pleased and surprised at how many Brazilian viewers I have, and have talked about Brazil during this time period. I've never played, I don't even think I've started, you know, briefly a game as Brazil, but hey, you know, if you got records into Brazil and can get photographs, and again, I don't know how accurate or inaccurate or how many generals there are for Brazil, and then, yeah, it was involved in World War II. Compared to any other South American nation, it was, in my opinion, the most involved. Yes, at the closing days, you know, I know Chile, I believe, entered the war, and a few of the other countries entered the war, but Brazil actually sent combat units that fought in Italy, and very bravely. I think it's, what, a division at max or something. It wasn't very big. Now, they were also heavily involved in, you know, having air bases and patrolling around the South Atlantic down here, not diminishing their contributions, you know, or that they were heavily involved down here, but it was minor up in Europe. But compared to any other South American nation, it was the biggest overseas commitment, and I think bigger than anything Mexico did overseas. So, you know, and probably all of the actual generals or commanders that were involved in this stuff are in the file, just because they probably showed up. But so you can come, you know, your nation, whether it's Serbia during this time period, and even if they're villains, even if you see them as villains, because trust me, like I put in one of the SS guys that I put in was very much a war crimes convicted guy for killing a bunch of Italians, civilians during the war, and sort of I spotted him because he just had died, and you know, as an old man, obviously. But you know, a war criminal. I didn't put him in to honor him, God no, because but I'm trying to remember both the heroes and the villains of World War II, so that you have a villainous SS commander who, and he has like no skills. He's just a, you know, supposed for an SD commander, because he was never even in the Waffen SS. He was just, you know, Allgemeine SS type guy. So I don't just put in heroes to be remembered, I put in the villains to be remembered. So if you're an anti-Bolshevik, anti-communist Russian, you can still put in the, you know, the evil NKVD leaders or something. And yes, in this modern world, it seems that, oh, he's a communist and an NKVD guy, he must not be so bad. You know, but to me, those are as evil as any SS kind of guys, but it depends on how history thinks of them. But remember both the heroes and the villains. Okay, let's continue playing. Okay, well, since there's nobody else around here. Okay, we've lost this province here. What are we, where? Oh. West Africa. Yeah, whatever. I could be trying there, but gotta sail all the way around South Africa, and it just ain't worth it. I want to, because I don't want to. I want to be ready here for June and an invasion type of the Soviet Union, and that's what I'm focusing in on. Supply these guys with food or fuel or whatever they need. Ammo. What are we battling? Oh, their fighters came up to mess with probably my transports here, but looks like my Italian fighters jumped in plenty of time to save. American blueprint stolen. Our spies have stolen plans that let us improve our abilities in the infantry support tank to level 3, giving the following benefits. So the U.S. somehow has been researching that. I would have thought they wouldn't research that, but they have, and that's something I don't plan on building. So, thank you, America, but we don't need it. Okay, well, come here. Oh, good. We're breaking out beyond Istanbul. And yes, some country like Nicaragua that just popped up is of low priority to all developers and everybody and whatnot. But I don't know if any, literally any of the generals, if they are real for someplace like Nicaragua, and if somebody could come up with a portrait, you know, a period portrait and a some sort in your name, and obviously no one's going to rate them very high as military leaders just because you almost can't, because they don't have a tradition of being really good military leaders on the one hand, time period or not, and they didn't have very good training, and they also didn't really command anything in any real wars, so we don't have a yardstick to measure them. But still, you can give them, you know, basic sort of minimum stats. And I know somebody. Okay, good. We've got Ankara. That's all these units that are retreating into here. We're killing as they're coming. Or we're coming back to there. Oh, we need to supply that. Okay. Create a supply. Toronto. That's our current main exit port for supplies, and down to Mombasa. We'll get a supply down here. Yeah, they'll move fairly rapidly. They'll move fairly rapidly through this rough terrain. Okay, no thanks. We don't need the supplies right now. What's the surrender? Okay. Not quite yet. I know I don't type or mod fast, as in grind out the things, but still, research is the sort of biggest time-consuming element. Okay, Army HQs have advanced. Very nice. And 42, we're going to stop that for the moment. Let's see. Aircraft armament, gun turrets, light bomber line. Now let's come over here and do this. Okay, a moderate breakthrough on some thing, and now let's make sure we didn't push something too far over the edge and are still researching now. Okay, good. Are we moving supplies to Istanbul? Yes, good. I wanted to make sure. Well, let's just clean the coast up here. Have to check their remaining fleet units. How do we get Bulgaria into the Axis so Germany stops trying to defend the borders against a possible Bulgarian attack? Okay. They're way out here, drifting towards the Axis. Germany is doing that. Influence nation. Well, is there something we can trade with for them? Producing metal, hardly any surplus, producing surplus of energy. Can we buy one energy? Offer a trade agreement. I think all this is because we just took Ankara, maybe? No. No thanks, not right now. We have a more than we could use situation. Okay, well. you're about exhausted. You need to join the fight. You need to join the fight. At least those guys are almost there. Join this fight here. That's not as useful. You come over. Well. Good, that shoots things dramatically. Okay, you come. What's the train like? Yes, this way. Yeah, circle the gap a little bit. A little wide. Okay, well, I think we're partially, this is getting, well, not so much stuff done, but I think we are adding Turkish ICs more and more. We've got a lot of fighters coming, that's good, but that also means these are all going to happen very soon, and which means we don't have any started or partway through, but we'll get a lot of practicals, which will help. As you know how much I like those, partly because we do have lots of medium and you want some fighter bombers? No, it's just all crappy. Close air support. We don't have many of these, but we might as well build a few more. Medium and light bombers, so we have lots of those already. Not that we can't use more, but yeah, that's a nice little addition. I have a tendency to go, yeah, more and more and more, because we have obviously more than enough ICs at the moment. But I don't know what I'll be like, oh, I wish I had. I don't know what it might be, you know, submarines or something, and do I, you know, yeah, obviously you can switch production. You know, just move something to the bottom of the queue and move in something new to the top. Come on, take that, take that, take that, take that, take that, take that. High popularity, great. Oh, great, good. We've got high popularity. And lots of course, Army Group HQs. That one may be the one that's pushing too far ahead. Yes, 43, we're going to stop that. And Japanese blueprint stolen. Yay. don't have tech sharing so much. Okay, capital damage control systems to level 4, which are only bonuses. So we, you know, all the way up to there, well beyond our normal capabilities, so we'll be better at dealing with damage. Well, since we're doing so well with naval stuff, let's add a couple of naval doctrines here. Battleship crew training and well, submarine crew training. And there we go. Now here we did get, okay, we'll leave that there for the moment. Romania, we would give them money for crude oil. Yeah, okay. We have the money. We only have a minor deficit in crude oil and not a huge stockpile of it. Okay. Okay, let's see. It says it's with level -5 in Genova. Okay, that would be Genoa to me. Expand their bases. So we have industrial capacity level 6. Autarky. So we'll no longer have a strategic resource. Dockyard facilities. Let's see what that does for us. Yep, okay. I think that's costing to build. Okay, see now we have a synthetic industry, which I don't know if that is a good thing because we no longer have a dockyard facilities. That sucks. I understand about the dockyard facilities, industrial zone where bearings. The factory symbol, which is what I thought I was looking for. But it's not that. It's, I don't know. Sucks that we lost our dockyard facilities. No, thank you. Okay, how is our surrender? Oh, wrong country, which isn't anywhere near surrendering. Okay, 96. What ice or war? What victory points do they still have? Oh, there. Okay. Well, that'll definitely be the nail in the coffin, if nothing else. Okay, we start Turkish Straits has happened to us, which research efficiency plus 2.5% and supply throughput, which is obviously a major thing, being able to move supplies, and it's partially meant for Germany, I don't know if that has to be Italian control or just fascist control for that to affect people, but good. And mountain unit training has advanced. We have so many mountain units, so that's great. Mentioning that, we're going to let this continue. We have so many mountain units. Okay, well now that's a bunch of good big bunch of air units. That's not big enough. There we go. Sort of the reason I'm picking out here is possibly to deal with Malta. Because we don't really need them right now in Turkey. I think our air cover is adequate. And it's going to take them a little while to organize them up, and I can't just drop them in Italy, or in Turkey, I mean, sorry. And I want to put them in a big enough airport to have them well organized up. Oh, let's go something better than a 0. Let's go back and go over my prejudice against faceless guys and use him. Okay, these guys now. Well, we'll do this off camera, and it's about time to end the episode anyway. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That's what they say to do in YouTube school. And, of course, I really love hearing from you. So, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, corrections, whatever else you may think of. Just stop by and say hi and let me know where you're from, because I do, and many of you already have. But I really do like to know who my audience is, you know. Yeah, okay, you're French. We do have French viewers, but are you, which I presume, just because my limited experience is, seems like most of the people in France all live in Paris. You know, do you live in Paris, or you live somewhere interesting, like along the coast out in Brittany, or some sort of place like that? Do sort of like to have a mental picture of who's watching, so you can just post that or some other sort of thing. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.